It's time for the Critical Mass Show on ManchesterRadioOnline.com. Now, it's our turn. We believe freedom is free. It is enslavement that you're paying for. If you ain't mad by now, you're not paying attention.
Hello and welcome to the Critical Mass Show on Manchester Radio Online. I hope you are all well. We have got a very, very interesting show tonight with my guest, Paul Ripon. How are you, mate? Are you okay?
I'm good, thank you, Paul.
Excellent stuff. We will be going back to Paul very shortly, and also a chap called Andy will be with us in the studio. He's just sitting by listening and watching everything happen. And really, there's a big conversation, and there's going to be a lot coming from this. It's sort of like a subtext, really, of obvious or oblivious. Can you see that lie? L-I. Now, you know that Paul has been emailing in and texting in over the last few months, really, and interjecting with some great sort of messages that's had everybody thinking, I know, because of the emails we've been getting. So, as I said, we'll be going back to Paul and sort of delving into language. Actually, Paul, you describe what we'll be looking at in your words, really.
Well, it seems pretty much that there is a hidden story in our language. To me, it seems obvious, but to many people it seems they can't see it, so therefore oblivious. It is a story of the sheep that we were to the fish that we are. And that's the journey through our language that I'm going to try and illuminate to you this evening.
I am watching virtually everything I say, and you'll understand why now as we sort of get back onto Paul. So, Paul, I was saying the paperwork that I'll be looking at, I'm going to try and keep up with as best I can, and everything that you do, mate. Obvious and oblivious, can you see the lie? So, we're looking at words, we're looking at the true meanings and when they're broken down. Would it be right to say a spell is cast? Are we negatively putting spells out there, or are there positive elements to words, or have things been changed so much that because of the way things are, we are always sending out negative tones?
Okay, great question. What is a spell? If you could just tell me what you're defining as a spell, I can maybe answer it a little better.
Well, we go off a spell as in, a witch's brew, I'm going to cast this on you, you're going to turn into a frog, as in that right. Kind of, right. People think of spells like that,
Okay, but, so what you're saying is a spell is a number of words?
A spell is a number of words, and I would also go as far as saying, a lot of awakened people would say now, you would say an energy is sort of brought forward from these words with the tones, and yeah.
Okay. But maybe the opposite is true. Maybe a word is a number of spells, because pretty much in the spelling test that I did at school, we always spelled a word using a number of spells. The word C-A-T would be 3 spells, C, A and T. So that would be spelling a word with 3 characters. So I'm going to go with maybe a word is a number of spells as opposed to a spell is a number of words.
Right, so there again, this is what I'm saying about how you make people think, and myself again, you just said, when you're in school, you have spelling tests. You just broken down the word. Right. So we are, in fact, and we're going back here, of course, aren't we? To God knows when. But what I'm saying is, over time, the language has been changed, so we would never consider ourselves making spells as we speak.
Well, we certainly are. We certainly are. If spells are affecting the reality that is around us, then by speaking the words that we're given by our dictionaries, certainly could be classed as we're all casting spells. We use the word cast in many different theatres, and fishing, and broadcasting. We use the word cast in many different ways. So maybe we are casting spells, but maybe spells are not always bad. Maybe spells are maybe good things. We have dictionaries, but the real dictionary that we use today, or at least the most modern dictionary that we have today, really is dated in 1755. The great vowel shift of the 14th century, under a cloud of mystery of why it was done, what it was done. But the one thing that it did do, it seemed to unleash what would be an enormously successful, living, flowery, marvellous poetic language. And that's the language that we've had access to, but I've got to say our language is perhaps not as broadly used as it could be. Out of the hundreds of thousands of words we have, I think we're just using a very small portion of it now.
Right, okay, so if we're using a small portion of words now, our language, I mean, if you go back to Shakespeare, and I love listening to the Shakespearean language. To me, it's like the Italian languages now. It's music to listen to. It was beautiful, you know. Is this part of an ongoing? I mean, you say, you know, like you say, the first dictionary, 1755. Has this been a dumbing down from the powers that be to get us to a point where we are, the words that we are speaking are just the spells that they want us to the words that they want to hear from us, if you like?
Yes, I think we can certainly make a strong case for that. I'm absolutely convinced that there is something in there. The one thing that I'm going to share this evening is I don't claim it to be the truth. I don't claim it to be the truth because I can't find to prove that it is. But the people who are listening, they can decide for themselves. I have so many words and so many coincidences and so many alternative explanations that what I'm going to put forward could be the truth. And that's as far as I can go with what I'm going to talk about this evening.
And I'll just say at that point that any of the views put forward by myself or my guests are not necessarily the views of Manchester Radio Online. Okay, so English, the hardest spoken and written language in the world to learn. This is something that you've basically put forward. Now,
I think in the nation, in a we'll call society's memory, most people would agree that yes, I've heard that. Yes, I've heard that English is the hardest. Yes, I've heard not only to speak it but to write it. It is the hardest. But is it true?
Why do you think that when you have such language as Italian, you know, that are very, very hard to learn, you know?
But what is Italian based on? Italian is based on Latin. And we actually speak the word Italian, which actually just breaks down to the word I Latin. I mean, Italian is I Latin. And Latin was developed from a language that was given from the Greeks that travelled into Rome. Rome basically developed what we now call Italian or I Latin. The Latin language travelled through Spain and Portugal, the Latino countries, came up through France and arrived on our shores in 1066 with the Normans. And that's the language that was brought to us at that time, but that would be Old English. That's not the English we talk today.
I'm just going to say that I went to an all-boys school, right? We didn't have many lessons, as in there weren't many sort of lessons. It was woodwork, you know, metalwork and English. Now, you just taught me more in that one sentence than I had ever learned in any history lesson I had, and you all just pieced it together. Thank you for that. So we're learning already, which is brilliant. So, I mean, that's like we said, the similarities between Spanish, etc. But going back to the English, now, I know people who have tried to speak English, and to me, you've got the feminine, you know, and when you go to the Italian, the Spanish, etc., and you've got all that to deal with, and we don't have that. So why again are we saying that it's harder?
Our language appears to be unique. All language throughout the world can be traced back to 3 original alphabets. But I'm not going to go right back there and try and give you a history lesson on the alphabets, but it can be traced back to 3 alphabets. And ours comes from the Phoenicians, through the Greek, and along that line. It's basically 4,000 years old, the alphabet that we use today. We call it alphabet because it's the alpha beta of the Greeks, the Egyptians and the Greek. The alpha beta, we phonetically speak because it comes from the Phoenicians. We say what we see and we try and write it down in symbols, and then we call those symbols letters. So that's sort of a basic how language sort of turned up. In today's modern world, we just use it. It's a bit like using your computer or driving your car. You don't need to know how your computer or cars work. You don't even really need to know why it works. You just got to know how to use it.
I'm struggling here because I'm still. It leads me back to the point that I'm trying not to say the master race here, but because the English, they'd say that French is the most, you know, widely spoken language, which I struggle with. I always thought it was English.
I'm pretty much sure it's Mandarin.
Pretty
much sure it's Mandarin. I think English as its first language is spoke by less than 1 billion people, and I think the planet total is 7 billion plus. So English as a first language is perhaps 1 billion people at most. But the reserve language is certainly English.
Okay. So in that respect, I mean, and people will say this in Turkey, you know, as you said, Portugal, people are all sort of. But I mean, I always thought it was, and I was led to believe as well, is you speak English, get yourself over to England, you're going to be set for life. So all these, you know, people come to England, that's how it's sort of thought. But now, as time's gone on, I'm wondering if it's learn English and you're all speaking the same language, you're all speaking the same spells. casting the same as cast, sorry.
Yeah, I think there's certainly something in that. I mean, our language is completely unique and makes no sense. It makes no sense when matched up with other languages. We have same pronunciations but different spellings. We have letters that are completely interchangeable, and yet we have no real reasonable explanation why they're interchangeable. And I find that's really perhaps what would get me interested into language. Our language is pretty much, I mean, you could say we're the borrowers. You know, somewhere around about 1500. I mean, some say Bacon, some say Shakespeare, some say who really sat down and you know, dictionaryed the language that we're now comfortable with, because that's about when it was put together. And it's a work of genius. It really is a work of genius, picking and choosing, or cherry picking, we'd say, from languages around the world. But I think we can easily research that our dictionaries of the times certainly had mastery of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 languages. A feat that we can hardly imagine possible today.
So if we sort of moved on to the programme countdown, okay,
yeah,
and I asked you for a vowel and a consonant.
Yeah.
So at that point now, because my mind's whirling here with questions as we go in,
Okay.
so the sort of connotation from these letters and being put together yourself there, is that powerful, you're suggesting?
Give me some more on that. I'm not quite sure what I'm thinking ahead of what I'm going to say next, rather than I didn't get it that time.
Well, okay. So I'm sat here and I'm putting together words and I'm using certain letters.
Yep.
Okay. Now
Yep.
these letters, and some suggest that obviously the letter A,
Yes.
as well as the letter Z,
Yes.
now, and also the letter M, I've heard have significant power when it comes to putting words together.
Right. Okay.
So,
the start, the end, and the middle. Yeah.
Right, so-
Position 1, 13, and 26. Yeah.
So, right, I didn't think of it like that. So right, okay.
Well, what
so
you've done is you basically
basically,
have
yeah.
the A is the beginning, the Z is the end, and the M is the balance.
Right.
The man is the balance. The M and the N are sat together.
Okay, so when this language has been, am I saying now, as I'm speaking these, that the English language has been adjusted from when you say the Greek to the Latin?
Of course it has. Yeah, it's been. Yeah.
So I'm trying to get through here that that it's planned, that it's made, that we are under control through our languages.
Of course we are. Yep, of course we are. If you can find me somebody who's invented a word, I'd love to meet them, because our words exist before we get here, and they'll be here long after we've gone, but they change. They do change. Their meanings change throughout time. And because we don't live long enough, perhaps we don't spot the changes. And whether you can get a dictionary from 1700, 1800, well, who has one of those available? But with the wonderful resources that are now online, we certainly do have access to information that we could and should be looking at, I think. An example of a word that's travelled through time and changed is human. Human, H-U-M-A-N. You can go back far enough and find that the word human was given to what we would today call a black slave. The word hue being the shade or the shaded man, and the word being existing. So a shaded man existing. It indicated somebody who was not white and was given the slave definition. So the word human was a slave. And we can follow that through now. As we all call ourselves humans now. The slave, supposedly slavery has been abolished, and we're all comfortable with the word human being. But why? I mean, why has it been moved along like that? We should be asking that question. Another good example that I think a lot of listeners might actually appreciate is the word person. We use the word person today, but that's not where that's where the word is with us today. But it's not stayed stationary. The word person. It's moved along the track, as it were. We've got to go back to persona. And persona was, it was your character, it was your stage character that you would play on stage in theatre. Your persona was your alter ego, and it was brought to us with the word personality. And we talk, not so much now, but in the past we talked about personalities as celebrities. These were personalities, as if personality was a real person. And that, even in our lifetimes, 30, 40 years, the word personality has been dropped, and now we've attached the word person to a living being. But that's not what it used to be. But the persona, personality, person travel is easy for us to see in our own lifetime.
what I want to move on to, that I know because it's been put to me to mention to you, and people have heard some of these expressions before when it comes to law, especially, and you know, there's a lot of things that you've sort of. I saw a chap, do you know his name just got out of me? He did a talk for We Are Change Manchester, and he touched on a few subjects. Now,
Daniel Dioge.
Thank you very much. And he touched the part that he touched on that interested me. He was talking about sound and organ, etc. Now, that, I mean, have you got any more on that really? Because that just sort of blew me away when again.
Pretty much. I mean, pretty much. We maybe should have spoken about which way you're going to take this. If you give me a little, but that's fine. That's fine. I mean, well, when we speak, I'm not going to. I won't try and go too far off track because I do have a point that I want to try and bring across later.
Okay, mate.
But when we speak in notes or tones. Would you say we have a tone of voice? Mm-hmm. Or make a note of that. Right. So a tone of voice and make a note of that is the two ways that we record what we say. And our tone and our volume denotes the area. You know, if we speak loudly, the volume and the area we cover is bigger. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are the speaker. We are the speakers. You know, we are the speakers, and we speak through our windpipe. It's our windpipe that forces the air out of us to make the music that we talk. You know, it all starts with a beat, and that's a heartbeat. It's always a heartbeat.
I'm on countdown, and tell me a bit more about vowels. If I'm asking for vowels, where are we going?
We do have an awful difficulty making words of longer than 3 letters without the magical vowels A, E, I, O, U. Now, I can't tell you that this is what they represent, but it certainly could be at least an analogy of the air, earth, fire, water and spirit that would allow a language to live as opposed to be a dying language. The reason I say that is because in today's modern world of text, we're actually eliminating the vowels. I think many people are seeing our language die. So is it the vowels that make it live and the removal of the vowel? Is it just efficiency? Or is our language dying? Our left brain thinks in words. It thinks like a ticker tape behind the eyeballs, talks to us all day. Our right brain thinks in pictures. If all we have access to is our left brain in words, and all we have is a lessening number of words, then how much thinking are we going to be able to do?
So again, it's being dumbed down to the point where, as you said, the language. I mean, if you're looking at text and you've got, everything's abbreviations. If it's even more than that now. So again, we're leading to the point where there's no communication.
Well, we're leading to the point where you could claim communication is more efficient because we recognise the words easily without using so many letters. I mean, I could agree with that. But what we're really doing is by making language more efficient, we're using less words, which means we have less ability to describe what it is that we see and feel. I mean, are we going to get down to will, won't, can't, can or can't, will or won't, did or don't, yes or no? Is that really what we're going to get down to? Or will we be able to explain ourselves and our decisions better? I mean, we've got kids leaving school now, slave trading camps, after 11, 12, 13 years. Spelling is a mystery. Maths is even difficult with calculators. Tying your shoelaces is of no importance. All that matters is the virtual reality that is the online reality that they're being hooked into. That's all that matters. It's the matrix. The word matrix is one of our oldest words. It's not new. It doesn't mean a technological advance. The word matrix is quite simply in Latin a direct translation for the word womb or uterus. If we've been put back in the womb, the uterus, I mean, what are they doing? I mean, are they bringing us down to baby stage, putting us back in our mother's water, genetically modifying us and bringing us back out in their image? Are they doing that?
With all the technology that we have to communicate, we are less connected now than ever, as many of us know. With what you're saying there, the language will self, I think it was, who said that one day you're just going to hear the beep left of a mobile phone with a couple of abbreviations on it, and that'll be the last thing that'll be the last of anybody. That's what we're going back down to. So the matrix you're saying that again, which I didn't know, is the womb, and we are, I mean...
The womb or the uterus, which is represented by the love heart that we send each other. The love heart is the uterus or the womb. That's why we get the love heart analogy from. It's not the heart in your chest. It's the shape of your womb or uterus.
So we're going back to, I was going to say the motherland or mothership, or to home, if you like, then, or are we just going back to complete control? Where are you going with it when you say we've just come from vowels to a huge jump? So take me back on that.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to, let's start at why do we actually use the sheep analogy? Why do we speak derogatory? I mean, it is very derogatory, and I don't agree with it. But why do we actually use the sheep analogy for people who perhaps are not interested in what it is that we have to share with them? It must come from somewhere. I mean, it didn't just exist, or we didn't just make it up. I mean, the sheep analogy has come from a long time ago. Astrology, which most people think is nothing more than the star sign in the paper. But some listeners will realise that we're actually in an age, we live in an age, and the age we live in today is the age of Pisces, and that is the two fish. And the previous age that we left in around about 325 AD was the age of Aries. Now, the age of Aries is signified by the ram or the goat, with its juniors being the sheep, the lamb, and the kids. So, because we're transiting from one age to another, the actual change doesn't take place on January the 1st, 325 AD. The ages overlap, a bit like the Olympic rings that you're going to be bombarded with over the next few months. The ages flow into one another. And the sheep, or the ram, or the goat, or the lamb, or the kid reality is one that we left behind almost 1700 years ago. It's not that we left it, it's just that the new reality, the new age, the two fish age, was now going to be brought into being. And I think most people would agree that our ability to live on land, to be independent, to own land, and to have things of value is becoming ever more difficult. Because sheep we're land livers, but we're being moved to fish, and fish, they don't live on the land, they don't own anything like that. Now that might sound a little crazy, because there has to be a transition progress, and I'd like to, maybe after 9 o'clock, go into maybe in a 10 or 15 minute run of how they have done our progress from living on the land as the sheep into the reality that we're facing now as fish.
Well, we will certainly go into that.
But we can certainly have some fun with the words between now and then.
Fantastic. Astrology is something that I'm very interested in, synchronicity as well, which you can't escape at the moment. I don't know how you feel about, and when we're talking about the language and words, letters, if I could just sidestep, if you don't mind, talking about numbers. And obviously numbers will always be, there's the coding in that. People are seeing certain types of sequences. 333 is a big one. That it's we're talking millions now around the world who keep seeing this. Is this all part of this map that's in front of us now, or part of where we are heading, or are we going backwards with this as well? A big question. I know it's not really with what we're going on, but just want to sort of interlink it.
Isn't it all numbers? Isn't it all maths? Isn't it all electric and physics? Isn't the electromagnetic universe made up of ones and zeros? Is that not what we're doing? Are our two eyes not the internet connection? Is the picture not at the back of our head? You know, is the reality? Is that what? Are we just processing ones and zeros? Are we just doing it left brain, right brain, and the theatres at the back? You know, is that all we are, electrical beings? Well, a lot of people will tell you that they think we are. You know, we live in an electrical universe. Let's picture a 3-pin plug. Let's go with a 3-pin plug. We have blue to the left, we have red to the right, and we have it's green and yellow, I think, in today's colours, but it used to be brown, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, it used to be.
It used to be just green.
Was it just green?
Okay.
But we have blue left, red right, and green, also yellow and green as it is now in the middle. Now, maybe that doesn't mean a great deal to some people, but if you look at our universe, we've got Jupiter at one end, we've got the Sun at the other, and the Earth at position number 3rd rock from the Sun. So we got position number 4, the Earth. And that's a very interesting position to be, isn't it? Because we've got the Sun, we've got Mercury, we've got Venus, and then on the other side we've got Mars, we've got Saturn, and we've got Jupiter. So 3 either side, and we're sat in the middle. Position number 4. We're called Earth. But there's a spell in there that could change, because you could move the H and say that we are the middle of the universe, the very heart of the universe. Could be the word Earth. Could be. We call it world, don't we? We call it world, and I think the world, we use the word W-O-R-L-D, world. But when I see that word, when I hear that word, I think W-H-I-R-L-E-D, world. And is it not true the Earth is making 365 small circuits around the Sun? Picture, if you would, a pearl necklace with 365 pearls, because that's what the world is really doing as it travels around our sunshine. So is that the word world? I don't know, but it certainly sounds similar. And then we call it planet. Planet. Who's planning what? Who's planning what? I mean, I've seen Planet Hollywood, and we know Hollywood certainly does cast the magic and wave the wand and cast the spells. We know Holly is the wood of the Merlin's magic wand. Who knows? The language is there. I'm not telling you the truth. I'm having fun with what might be.
But it does seem to. I mean, okay, you're having fun, and again, but you see, I can't say truth, as you said. It's not, whose truth or what. But we are hitting. I can't even say coincidence because it's not something to believe in. But everything resonates. It does make sense. Everything that you're saying, and the more you break down the words, the more I'm sitting here thinking, what have I been saying for 39 years that I just never realised?
You've been using your language, and people think the word language might come from the word land gauge. And that would make perfect sense, because the gauge of where your land came from would be by telling the language that you were speaking. But it can't really be that, because it doesn't spell land gauge, it spells language. The A and the U are the wrong way around. So if we look at the two words that we can see in the word language, we see the word lingua. Lingua, again, is to mean weak. It is to mean weak. And we know age is always, or nearly always, refers to a number or a time span. So a weak age, and we look at the word week and we think, if this is a weak age, we got 52 weeks in a year. Maybe that's not the way it should be. Maybe there's nothing to do with that. But we work Monday to Friday and we call that a week. And then Saturday and Sunday we're exhausted and we call that a weekend. Listen to the words. You work 5 days and you call that a week. And you have 2 days off but you're exhausted and we call that a weekend. Listen to what we're saying. Are we really being tricked? Is the magic right in our language and we can't see it? Right.
Again, for the listeners out there, you listen to the Critical Mass Show, of course, and forgive me, guys, because I know you'll be all going through the same, but I've got so many questions here that keep coming. So, Paul, I mean, if I keep jumping around, just, it's there's so much that I want to go back to. If the English language is the English language the most prominent of languages, in order that we're casting more spells than any other language, because I mean, like I say, I keep rabbiting about the Italian language because to me it's beautiful. I could listen to that.
It is a beautiful language.
I don't care. I don't know what to say. I can understand parts of it, but it's music to me. So in that respect, are other languages more innocent than our own?
I hope that's true. I hope it is. I can't answer that. I don't know. I think we might have different sounds to each other's words, but we all mean the same thing. So we're all saying the same thing. We're just making different noises to do it. So maybe the spells are uniform. Maybe it is the same all over the world. We're all getting the same television pretty much nowadays. We're all getting the same media. It's a global village, as they call it. And we're all getting told the same thing. I mean, this is a reality that now really exists. What you would call local appears to be of no interest to people. We switch on the news and all you get is national, international and global news. Do we care what's happening in Italy? Yes, we should, but do we? No, we don't. We're not bothered at all. We're not interested in what other people are doing. We're far too busy surviving, which is a shame, really.
Well, again, we're going back to being disconnected.
Yep.
When we have all this technology and everybody knows what's going on in the world. Everybody's well aware of it, but yet nobody's interested until it comes to the doorstep.
Well, I think we have to accept that people have different interests. I mean, I'm not interested in what other people are doing, and therefore, by default, they don't have to be interested in what I'm doing. If we get too carried away, it looks like we're selling religion here. We start to come out with words that people associate with religion and Bible bashing. You can't wake the dead, but you can rock the sleeping. And I think we've got to differentiate between those two people. Sheep don't want the day spoiling. They'll just follow the leader. So we've got to make more leaders. That's all we've got to do, just get more people to take the lead. You on the radio station, anybody doing anything that is broadcasting to those that want to hear. Our job's not to shine a light in people's eyes while they're sleeping. You just offer them half a glass of water and just leave them alone. They'll come back if they're thirsty. You're not wasting their time. You're wasting your own if you keep pushing.
So this general awakening that is taking place now will happen regardless of people pushing.
I can't help but tell you that this feels like a rerun of the 1960s. Okay. I wasn't there, okay? But I can't help but it feels like a rerun of the 60s. It feels like not a fake spirituality, because I'm not, that's not how I'm trying to describe it. It's just that whatever the people were trying in the 60s was similar to today, and it didn't change anything. It didn't really change anything. The government threw us overboard 40 plus years ago, to thank George Carlin for that line. But the government threw us overboard 40 years ago. They stole our currency offers and gave us a fiat currency of worthlessness. Mm-hmm. They stole. I mean, I actually own a fish and chip shop. Okay? And if we had the currency that was available to us in 1970, the fish and chip price on my board would be 2 and 6. Because the value of the coins, or the silver content of those coins, would still buy fish and chips. Because the value of those 2 coins is in excess of £4.50, £5. So fish and chips would still be 2 and 6. But those coins were stolen for a value of 12.5 pence, because that's what 2 and 6 was. So anybody who does the maths realises that that's inflation on a massive scale. We gave them 2 and 6, and they gave us 12.5 pence in return. And that 12.5 pence now has to be nearly £5 to buy the same thing 40 years later. Whereas the coins, if they gave us the coins back, I'd give you fish and chips for the coins. Because the coins haven't devalued. It's the money that they gave us that's fake, that's devalued.
Right. We're covering lots of different subjects here. I'm going to try and reel this in, as we said before. Fantastic. Now,
okay. I've got to try and clear up the sheep and the fish sort of chatter that I did a little bit earlier, because I do want to walk through the reality that exists in our language that does link those two realities. We know about Aries being the previous age. We know Pisces is our current age. And anybody who knows that we're travelling backwards in time through the galaxy will tell us that Aquarius is the next one due. So we are travelling backwards as opposed to, you would naturally think, forwards, but we're not. The actual Earth is travelling backwards through the star charts as you see them. So let's move on, because I have a little bit written down here, because I do just wander off on the subject. And rather than concentrate on what I came to share this evening, I do wander off with other words, because they all seem to mean something to me one way or another. But let's do Aries. Aries is the month of April, and it sort of is denoting the arise, God's Son arise. That is, arise, God's Son wakes up. That is where God's Son starts his journey to his highest power. But unfortunately, we're not in Aries, we're in Pisces. And the 2 fish it is. We mentioned about 325 AD. It's going to last for 2160 years. 2160 years is the length of time an age will take. And funnily enough, the actual diameter of the sun in miles is the moon in miles is 2,160 miles. Interesting connection, but I'm not going to go into that one.
Okay.
Now, these 2 ages mean that we're actually living in our time now in what we're going to call a duality, where one is on the land and one is on the sea. We've heard land and sea actually referred to fish and chips. Fish and chips used to be called land and sea, and maybe still is in some parts of the country, although not where I'm from. We know Jesus biblically stood and fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and a couple of fish. And you certainly could say that could be a reference to a land and sea changing of the times. And you could do that if you wanted to. I'm not going to do it. Don't bring the truth. I bring the version of what could be true. And it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be fun. This isn't to get your pens, boys and girls, and listen carefully. This is for fun. That's what it's for. I've already mentioned about our ability to live on the land is becoming so much more difficult. We still do live on what we'll call terra firma, but we don't own anything. We actually don't own anything. We don't own land, don't own our own houses. I know many people perhaps do think we own houses, but we actually just have the freedom to hold them. The freedom to own them would be free own, but we don't have free own, we got free hold. Because your time on this little planet is only rented. You only rent your time and space. You can't have anything, you can't keep it. You just get to be a renter or a tenant. We don't own anything. The powers that be above us, they actually own it all. I think a little bit of research into what the Queen claims ownership to it as landmass is over 16% of the planet's surface, land surface, is hers. 16% is personally assigned to her. That's a lot of Earth. That's a lot of Earth. God, see, I wander off. I've written this down because I always wander off, and I tell myself, don't wander off, and I am wandering off, and I can't help it. I just can't help it. I just wander off. Anyway, back to the duality. We do live in a duality, land and sea, okay, or land and water, whatever. Let me find where I am. Duality. Let's get back to it. I've got to get it right, haven't I? I've got to get it right.
You're right.
Now, the word we use, we have a word in our language called individual.
Okay.
Okay. Now, most people think the word individual means one, but that's not what's in the word, is it? Because internally divided duality would be the word individuality. It's there. The word in, the word divi, and the word dual. It's obviously, it means divided into two. So we're living as one, but we're living in two dualities. Individuality, individuals. Individual. Land and sea, we've got two realities going on, a parallel universe. One that we live on and one that we can't see very well. What's the water? You're saying, what's the water? What's the analogy with the water? Most people who listen to Jordan Maxwell, you're going to know what the water is. The water is the money, isn't it? Mm-hmm. The water is the money. The very liquidity, cash flow and revenue streams. The very essence of how we survive is money. And it is the analogy for water. You listen to Jordan? Interesting guy. I like Jordan. I do like Jordan.
He's on the right track.
Yeah, I do like Jordan. He makes me smile. He reminds me of a funny old granddad. He's a great guy. I do love him. This water-based reality, as I said, is money. It's been around for thousands of years in various forms, more often than not in a coin form. Although the English did have a tally stick, and that was around for about 700 years. And that was one of the most successful currencies that weren't coins. But what I want to highlight today is the terms that we give to our money system. We've talked about liquidity and the revenue and the cash streams and that sort of thing. But why do we use those? We've just managed to establish that it is the money is the water reality that we live in today. Now, to get the sheep into the water reality, we've got to have an analogy to get them there.
Okay.
And we've got to have a control system. And that exists, and it is to put us into ships. What they've actually done is they've put the land liver into ships and sent us out to sea. And that's where we get the word citizenship from. Why do we call it a citizenship? As if something we own. That's what they've done. They've given us our land-based reality, stuck us in ships and set us out to sea. And now they're going to sink us.
Okay.
This is what I'm going to share with you after 9 o'clock this evening. That's what they're going to do.
So, I mean, this is leading to the bigger picture, and these are the questions that many people are asking. But,
yeah.
So, I mean, is it fair to say then, obviously, you know, you're sort of, this is a subject that, I mean, we've talked before, and we can talk for hours and hours on this, but is this the sole subject that has led you to the world truths? Your truths that that's what's really going on in the world at the moment. I mean, and what I'm saying is this a good avenue for the sheeple, or almost to sort of look at?
I wish I could tell you it was. I wish I could tell you it was. You'll be able to decide for yourself. But the history, the stories, the words, the language tells us that we did once live on the land. We did own houses and land, and we did have access to everything we need to be independent. History shows us that our power to achieve that has been taken away from us. Slowly but surely, we've been eroded to the point where we're now dependent on others for the things that we need. Our ability to survive individually is becoming almost impossible. We rely on others for food, for electric, for gas, for everything. If the electric went off tomorrow, our systems would collapse in, 24 hours? Mm-hmm. It shows you how reliant we are on the very light switches that we press every day. If electricity didn't exist, we technically as a society wouldn't exist. 15 days and we'd be, so the science says, 15 days and we'd be cannibals, yeah.
Is that, I think you've just given me the answer there.
Yeah.
That's one way out. Get everybody off the grid. Just cut the electric. We'll get to where we need to get a lot faster, wouldn't we?
OK, now many people listening will be aware of the term admiralty or maritime law. I think most people have had a look online about where our rules come from today will recognise admiralty and maritime law. Now, the definition of this is, and this is taken from document, admiralty or maritime law is a body of both domestic law governing maritime activities and private international law governing the relationship between private entities which operate vessels on the oceans. Now, the definition does go on, but there is another part that I want to speak to you about. It concludes, admiralty law covers many commercial activities, although land-based or occurring wholly on land, that are maritime in character.
Okay.
Okay, so the maritime in character is the key to where we're going next. Why does it apply to us? Remember these dualities. We're leaving the land-based, we're moving to the water-based. Have we ever wondered why all sailing vessels, particularly ships, are named or referred to as female?
See, I mean, that's a question that is starting to pop up. Yeah, people are looking that way, aren't they now?
I mean, submarines are actually, funnily enough, named as males. But ships, or sailing vessels, are always named in the female. It is because only ships can berth. I mentioned Jordan before. You'll have heard him say that, but he doesn't carry on with it. So let's move along with the same reasoning from where he leaves it.
Okay.
What does a ship or female need inside to berth? She needs seamen. And the seamen have to mate with the ship so she can berth. And our seamen call themselves ship mates. Mm-hmm. So the seamen mate with the ship so that she may berth. That's the female analogy that brings the water reality onto land. Remember, maritime in character allows admiralty or maritime law to encroach upon our lives on land. Maritime in character. This is the start of the description that I want to share. I've got to read this, otherwise I wander off and forget where I am. When does a female become a ship or a vessel? This is interesting, because it's when she reaches puberty. And what happens when a female or a girl reaches puberty? Her hips, think of that word, H-I-P-S, hips, widen.
Yeah.
Ship, hips. So she becomes a ship. She becomes a vessel that can berth because her hips widen. See the maritime in character coming along here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but a little research will tell you that this is the most likely explanation of how they've got it. The symbol of Christianity, I think most people might know, it's the fish. The symbol of Christianity is just one fish. And looking at the headdress of what the Pope wears, that sure is a fish head hat, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the Catholic Church are interested in fish too. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the Bible and the miracle of the 5,000 with the 5 loaves and 2 fish, so we won't do that again. So this fish and ships reality, on we go. In the words of Aldous Huxley, man is a complex amphibian on many levels. He didn't say mammal, he said man is a complex amphibian on many levels. it would seem that we are at birth designated in today's reality fish. Let me show you why. We are born from our mother's water and travel down the birth canal to be delivered through the vagina, which again is a direct translation for the word hull in Latin. Hull. We're called babies, and there's much debate where the word babies comes from. But popular opinion, and I've got to say makes most sense, is that it exists in so many languages in that form of baby or baba, that it's simply because of the first words that babies actually learn. The word baba is 99% of what babies learn, no matter what country they're born in. That is the sound they make. And that's perhaps why we use the word baby. Some people say, what about the Babylon connection? I haven't researched it, so I'm not going to go down that line. So babies are fish in this reality, or duality. And language is derived from observation. So let's see what our babies do. Let's see what our little fishes do. Our little fishes or baby's first instinct is to become a suckler. That's the first thing that happens. All mammals suckle, we know that. And to feed and stroke the breast of its mother. Now this instinctive stroke is possibly our little fish's first independent thought. And the word stroke, master stroke, stroke of genius, maybe that's where it comes from, but let's see if that's true. We've done the suckling, we've done the breaststroke, and our baby, its next real desire is to crawl, is to become mobile. And what do we teach our babies? What do we teach our babies to do? Once they've managed to suckle, and they've managed to stroke the breast and to crawl, we've got to get them upright, haven't we?
Yeah.
They've got to get themselves upright.
Okay.
They've got to get themselves standing. Standing, getting to stand up. It seems that that comes in 3 phases, 1 phase at a time. So our power comes in 3 phases. To stand upright, to achieve this, we've got to fathom how to use the power of our arms and the propulsion of our legs. And with the help of a nursery rhyme, row, row, row your boat, we all eventually get there, forgetting the part that says life is just a dream. So, we've now got our citizenship upright from the deep end onto the surface. Half above, half below.
Okay.
We know the hips are the ship
that
sway from side to side. So that tells us as above, so below. Mm-hmm. We're half in the water and we're half out of the water. Technically we're floating. Perhaps like tethered buoys on the water. Think of the word buoys that we use. They're tethered, the buoys, aren't they? And they're half in, half out.
Yep.
And we call them buoys.
Yep.
Interesting. So we're up. We're up. We've got up. We're now standing. Now we've got to work out how to navigate. We've got to work out where we're going. Where are we going to take this ship? What do navigators need? We need a compass, a ruler, a pen and a map. So we send our fish to school. All fish go to school. Fish live in schools. They like it in schools. We send our fish to school so he can find his way and plot his journey in life. Lastly, our third phase of power that we need. We need to speed our journey to dry land. That's what we should be doing. That's what we should be trying to do in the analogy. We need to speed our journey to dry land, and we need to utilise the force of the air to harness the wind in our sails. Our sails need energy, and everything around us is for sale. Look around you. Everything's for sale, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Everything's for sale. The word sale is the word salt in Latin. And salt is currency. It was at the time. The Romans used salt as currency.
Yeah.
So we hand over salt, or we hand over our energy for sale, which is salt. Now, the three phases that I've mentioned is using your arms and your legs, learning to navigate, and using the wind, the force of the wind. The ship of state would call those three things the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force.
Okay.
That's what we've just created. Our own Army, Navy, and Air Force.
Sure.
Using our arms, our heads, and the power of the wind. We exchange our energy for sail. Does that make sense?
Yep, with you so far, mate.
Okay. So, with our education complete, our man comes of age, so he can now manage his own destiny. I wish that were true, but it sort of all stops there, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Because freedom was never really available to us. We live in a tightly controlled artificial environment, don't we? That denies us the opportunity to actually develop any further. We can't get past managing our own destiny. We can't get to it and we can't manage it. We just think we can, because we're living in a version of freedom that is nothing of the sort. This isn't freedom. This is a controlled environment, a controlled habitat, where we're surrounded by water. Just like fish in a tank. Just like fish in a tank.
Yep.
Because we've been chucked overboard. Our citizens' ships have been sunk, aren't they?
Yep.
By our membership of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Our sovereignty
Taken.
has been taken, and our citizenships have been sunk. The English ship of state is going to be sunk and absorbed by the mothership that is Europe. That's why we're going to get sunk, and that's why the new reality is for fish. There's much more to it. I can keep going a little bit further if you want me to.
Go for it, mate, go for it.
Well, we send our fish to school, don't we? And at school, we sit down in lessons, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Let's look at that word lessons. It sounds like more or less. I mean, it sounds like to reduce in quantity, doesn't it? The word lesson is to reduce in quantity. But many people say, but it's an O, not an E. Okay. Let's look at the word on in our language. What do we use the word on for? We use the word on to illuminate, yeah? To make bright.
Okay.
To make light. We turn a light on, and it illuminates the room so that we may see. We cannot learn in the dark. So on is illumination. We can only learn in the light. We cannot learn in the dark. So if I offer you lessons, you get an education. Well, you've been taught in the dark.
It's a bit of both. That's it. I mean, the word suggests in part both.
Does it really? Tell me how.
If you've got less, and then on, as in more, is that how I'm taking it? Turn on and less of.
Well, the word on is to illuminate.
Okay.
To illuminate is to make bright so that we may see.
Okay.
We cannot learn in the dark. So on is to illuminate so we can learn. But I'll offer you less on. So that means not enough illumination so that you may see clearly.
Okay. If you put it together, yeah.
But in this reality, we're taught less ons make you bright and more ons are dim. That's backwards, isn't it? That's backwards, isn't it? That is backwards, isn't it? There's no doubt about it. That is backwards. I don't know. There's no way about it. I've got to say that is backwards. I mean, let's do the word. I mean, all we exchange all day is information, yeah?
Yeah.
Information. What two words do we think information are made from? I mean, it's inform and situation, would you say?
Okay.
To keep you up to date. Would you say inform and situation?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, okay. But what if it isn't that? What if the word is actually, the next level of understanding is in formation, which would be to arrange in predetermined order, to get you in formation. What happens if all the informed situations are actually to get you in formation, so you line up in uniform like everybody else, you say the same, think the same, act the same, and walk the same and talk the same like everybody else? What if it's in formation?
Could it not be both, as in the information that we are receiving is leading us to be...
To be in formation. That's exactly what I'm showing you.
I'm getting
exactly
this now,
what
guys.
I'm showing you, yeah.
I'm getting this.
That's right.
Fantastic.
That's right, the word money. There's lots and lots of ideas what is the word money? Why do we use the word money? I mean, I think many of us know the word money is mon. So mon in Latin is mountain.
Yeah.
mono in is one. So we've got one and mountain being a possibility. In this language, all words that end in EY refer to have seen, to purvey, or to convey, or to survey. To survey is to say what to see with your eyes. To purvey is to buy. Yeah, that sort of thing. So the word EY always it sort of shows it is to see, or it refers to the eye. So can we go with mountain eye, or one eye? Well, maybe we can go with both. Maybe we can go with both, because if we look at each other, are we the money? Are we one, and we call ourselves I? Are we the money? Well, of course we are the money, aren't we? Because if we wrote on our notes, no interest, our notes, control on one side and dog treats on the other, we would see it for what it was. Because it's an illusion. It's a piece of paper. Control on one side, dog treats on the other. We're the money. We passed a garage on the way here called Harvest Energy. Well, what do you think they're doing to it? What do you think they're doing? You know, we drove I passed a garage just the other day called Gleaner Energy. Gleaner. To glean wasn't that to go to the corners of the fields and take the last ears of corn? Wasn't that to glean? Take everything, strip the field bare. Isn't that what it was? You know, the words around us do indicate that there's more to know. Much more to know than we actually have. I mean, are we the money, or is the eye on top of the mountain our challenge? Are we challenged to climb the mountain, to reach the summit where our masters already are? Is that the challenge for us, to climb the mountain? And is that where the dog tree is? Is that where the money is? There's lots and lots of connotations or possibilities with money. But one thing that we do know is Pudsey Bear wants your money, doesn't he? He definitely wants your money, Pudsey Bear. Pudsey Bear, yeah. He does. Pudsey Bear wants your money. And he only has one eye. His other eye's poorly, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, he's one eye. Most pirates have got one eye. Yeah. And they're after your money as well. So I think the one eye and the money thing there's definitely more to know here. I mean, Pudsey Bear could have a broken arm, he could have a broken leg, he could have anything, but he hasn't. He's got a missing eye, a poorly eye, hasn't he?
What was it in the land of the blind?
Exactly.
One that mine is king.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good quote. Yeah, like it.
Fantastic. So, right. Okay. Do you know what? Do you mind if I play a song?
This fish reality.
Yeah.
People don't believe me. Yeah.
Okay.
Why do we put men or fish in tanks and send them to war so they can throw shells at each other? Why do we do that? Why do we have government think tanks? And why is everybody who can hear my voice now sat online taking small bites while surfing in their internet? Internal net. You're having fun in their net while you're online. The sheep to the fish reality, by hook or by crook. It's hook to catch a fish and crook to catch a sheep. By addiction or deception, hook or crook. The realities just keep coming, don't they?
World Wide Web, I'm thinking of.
World Wide Web? Who knows? The number's 555, actually. Position 20, it's language 20, it's position letter number 23. Letter number 23, 555. It's always the phone numbers that don't exist. But what's the World Wide Web? What's that all about? What's a web? A web is spun by a spider to catch flies. What the fish eat? Flies. Well, if the spider's eating them all, there'll be nothing for the fish to eat. I don't know what a web is.
Mates, the biggest name in condoms, comment.
Well, I don't know if it's the biggest name in condoms, but I must admit, in the select establishments that I go to, in the ablutions, I have seen the machines that sell those, the very things, the very sheaths. I've seen the name Mates more often than not. So it was an off the cuff. I'm not sure if maybe. I mean, I think durable sex is actually the most popular one. I think.
Something I've never been good at, but carry on.
Well, I think it's during sex or durable sex. I think the name is something like that. I don't know. The advertisers have fun, don't they? Yeah, maybe not. I mean, come on, we see, but we don't see. I mean, everything is to see in this reality.
Yep.
It is all ships, partnerships, relationships, friendships. They've categorised it all as maritime commerce. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as they call it a ship, it's their business and they're in it. And I've said that they're going to sink our citizenships. That's what's happening here. The country that we know and love, the country that still exists, but nobody appears to be happy to stand up and say, I want it back. They're going to sink it. They're going to sink it. The mothership's going to take it in, and we're going to become part of a superstate. I mean, we're being regionalised into 9 regions October this year. We're going to be 9 regions are going to exist in what we call England, and we're going to be, by November next year, November 2013, the 9 regions will be up and running. So our counties and our borders and this sort of thing, they're not going to be here anymore. They're just not going to be here. I mean, these things will be, over time, removed. They won't just sort of change it in a day, but they're going to do that. By November 2013, we're going to have 9 superstructures, 9 councils put over the regions, and they're going to allocate what we're going to get as an allowance. I mean, they're going to control what we get regionally as an allowance. Will it be food? Will it be electric? Will it be... I don't know. But those nine regions are now categorised and ready to be, put in place. And everything will stay the same as it is, except we'll have a super council sat at the top, dictating everything that those below do. That's easy to find. Just look at the reorganisation. Just look at the boundary reorganisations that the proposals are there now.
Not while I'm breathing, this won't happen, mate. But
well, I hope so. I mean, they want to sink our ships, and our citizenships are going down, and after that, we're in trouble. You could say that this sinking on such a massive scale is an analogy for what we would call a great flood. Is this the second great flood? Is this the analogy, the land and water analogy? Are we being sunk? I mean, the answer is that maybe we are being sunk. I can't deny that. That's what it looks like to me. I mean, many people are going to drown in a sea of debt. I mean, unable to bail out. They're not going to get a bailout. They're going to sink. They're going to drown. Pulled under by the current sea loan sharks. I mean, it's current sea. They're just they're loan sharks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to call them banks. They're loan sharks. That's what they are. It's a mafia system of loan sharking. Are we going to be caught in the clutches of the legal system? I mean, anybody who believes that the legal system is there to provide justice has never used it. You've never used it, and if you've used it, you've never understood what on earth's going on. Because that's not what it's there for at all. You're not part of the club, it's part of. I mean, the only mug who promises to tell the truth in court is you. They all quietly sit around and say, right, OK, let the game begin, and you're the only one that puts your hand up and says, I'll tell the truth. They don't do it. Make them do it. They don't do it. They belong to the Law Society, and you're the mug that's walked in thinking, we've got to start looking at things in a little bit more strongly. I think there's too many nice people in the country who say, oh, it'll be all right, and, well, if we just do this, and if we just make a banner or join a protest, it's never changed anything in the past. I don't know what on earth possesses people to think it's going to change things in the future. I mean, if you want to tell me that shouting at the very people that caused the problem in the first place is going to change anything, I'm going to say, well, if you want to show me some proof, I'm all ears, but I don't think you're going to look long and hard to find anything of success in that method. We've got to think, we've got to learn, we've got to grow up. That's really what we've got to do. We've got to start thinking about growing up. We've had a great time, but it's over. The party's over.
It's time to call it a day.
The party's over unless we say the party's not over, and that means that you've got to take... These people are masters. Let's call them chess masters. If you don't learn to play chess as good as they can play chess, you're going to lose. And that's just an analogy. These people outthink us, outflank us, and know exactly what we're going to do well in advance. The only thing that frightens our controllers is the fact that we might think of something they haven't already covered. That's the only thing they lose sleep over.
Well, I mean, on the flip side to that, if you like, there are people, and myself included, who are working, who are constantly minds thinking of ways, instances in which we can, turn the tables. And I do believe, lads, that we are ever closer to doing that. I do think people are, like Tim, my good friend Tim from We Are Change, calls people fluffies, and what he means by that are these lovey doveys who, you know, the flower power, and you know, if we're all mates, I know we all sit down and we have a night of love that was put out to the world. That's going to change everything. Now, it has its place. But I don't think it's going to change everything, because the next day you wake up and the system's got you hating each other again. So all that love goes out the window. Okay.
Yeah, well, I agree. Yeah, I mean that was tried in the '60s, and you know what happened at the end of the '60s. Well, basically, they threw us overboard and carried on regardless. I mean, nothing changed in the '60s except a sexual revolution and legalising drugs. Or at least allowing drugs to be. I mean, you know, let's ask who brings the drugs in. Let's look at the newspaper headlines that are talking about legalising the drugs again. We digress. If we want to change something, you've got to look in the mirror and work out, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? Look in the mirror and say, what are you doing? You're still drinking the water out the tap? Okay, that's up to you. You're still using the fluoride toothpaste? Okay, that's up to you. You're still leaving your money in the bank and using the cards because it's easier? Okay, that's up to you. But all these things are not really changing anything because you're just going along with the system. You know, are you still watching television as opposed to doing something maybe more constructive? That's up to you. Are we trying to read books? Are we buying the books that we need? Are we thinking, maybe I could, you know... Well, the depth of understanding is in books, and that's where certainly I have gained the confidence to actually speak out.
I'll say, I mean, just to bring a point that I mentioned earlier, and that's, you know, anybody who reads, and I know Mag, who you know is out there from Awakened People, and I mentioned Mouse Sears, and Truth Hunter himself. I mean, as I said, Truth Hunter's an old friend, and we same school, and I find it impossible to have the attention span to read any. I see there's books that I'm desperate to read, but I'm asleep after 15 minutes. I just can't hold it at all.
But that's been schooled out of us, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
We all went to those schools at the time. They were changing from grammar schools to comprehensives.
Yeah.
I'm of that age where I went through the end of the grammar school system and into comprehensive. And you came out. I learned more when I started work than I did while I was at school.
School of life.
And I bet most people can empathise with that as well.
Yeah.
Well, don't look for a concentration camp. We live in a can't concentrate camp. Look around. Look around. This is a can't concentrate and don't want to bother anyway camp. This is it. Sit down and give me what I want to. You know, I'm paying money for this Sky service. I mean, give me what I want. I mean, we've been looking to the Sky for information and the truth for a long time, and now people sit down and switch the damn thing on. I mean, why is it called a television set? Why is it a set? Yes, this has been said many times, man, because there's only one of them. Ha ha ha. That's not the joke. It was called a television set because, quite simply, it was bringing you the visions, yeah, into your home. Visions of what? Well, if we look back in history, our wonderful astrologers, astronomers, and whoever else, they figured that the truth was in the sky. These were the people who first did the dot to dots, and they learnt the process of the stars, the process of the seasons, the cycle of the seasons. They actually worked out the power of this knowledge and when to tell farmers when to plant the crops and when to do this and when to do that, and that was power. And they used the visions of the night sky, and the visions of the night sky were the visions of Set. That's what they were called, the visions of Set. You see, so we have the teleported visions of Set into our houses. You see, you couldn't see the truth in the daytime, you could only see it in the nighttime. It was the nighttime sky that revealed the dot-to-dot picture that they used to decipher what we call time now.
So we're talking, I mean, Set as in the Egyptian god?
Yeah.
Right, and then you've got well,
it's the teleport. Yeah, but the visions of Set is what we can see in the night sky. But we get the fake, the counterfeit version. But the first thing the devil did was to convince you he never existed. And the second thing he does is he counterfeits everything and sells you back the fake. So we get the teleported visions of Set. And that's why it's called Sky. Because it's a counterfeit version of the truth. That's why we've got Sky as the service. The television set and your main cable service provider is Sky. Because they're claiming to be telling you the truth as we found it in the skies. I mean, I'm not saying the truth is in the skies. I'm saying that's why it's called a television set. And that's why Sky picked the name. There's loads. I mean, there's loads of things to think about. I mean,
we could go with Virgin on that side of things, then, couldn't we? And go
well, Virgin. I mean, that's an interesting one, isn't it? That's an interesting one. But I think we can work out why it's called Virgin.
Well, Go on.
Well, it is that simple, isn't it? That business was born from him, wasn't it?
I mean, if you do read about, I do find him an interesting chap. How he was sort of brought up, these people who do end up with money. I don't know. These people always seem to be... They put these self-help books out, which I used to be big on and reading about, because I thought that was the way, because the only way is money. If you've got money, you're fine, you're good to go. And I used to read these Tony Robbins and all these people who used to basically help you. And then you do find that there's a rich uncle in the background who helped him at a certain time in their life that they never seem to mention, you know what I mean? Or that's along the line of them apparently having no money, there is somebody in the background who's always helped them through that. Whereas we'd go to the bank and get ourselves in debt, they're basically bailed out by somebody in money.
The top, middle and bottom class system has been around since you started school.
Mm-hmm.
It's been around since you started school. Again, to go back to George Carlin, you know, the people at the top take all the money and do none of the work. The people at the bottom, I mean, I can't remember the analogy, but basically it's to scare the shit out of the people in the middle. I can't remember the analogy now. I wish I could remember it. I started it and I've forgotten it. But the people at the top keep all the money and do all the work. The people at the bottom get all the money and do none of the work. And the people in the middle do all the work. And I can't, no, I'm going to... I mean,
do you know what? Actually, talk about that. I mean,
you know when you started, yeah, you know when you started, someone think, I wish I hadn't started.
Fantastic. No, but he's... no.
The people at the bottom are basically there to scare the shit out of the people in the middle, yeah. That's about the analogy.
I mean, I have a site called Live Green, Live Clean, and it's basically about self-sufficient living. And you're talking about the classes there, and it was a lot of it sort of has come through that. Apparently, it was 70s, early 80s. I've gone again with the Good Life programme. And we go back to that, and you have the class system next door to each other, basically there.
I loved it, yeah.
That now holds more sway, I feel, than it did then, because, you know, I don't know, if things seem to be a lot tougher these days, I don't know. But it just, you know, to be self-sufficient, and then you've got the rich family next door, is just, you know, get on with it, just abide to the system, and everything's going to be fine. You're going against the grain there, you know. And they did go against the grain, they did suffer a lot as neighbours, but it was fantastic. I think there's lessons in the back of that people need to pick up on.
Well, the Ministry of Truth
Lessons,
or the BBC...
so I can't use that anymore now, can I?
Well, the Ministry of Truth or the BBC, I mean, they're interested in... it's state-sponsored television, isn't it? It's we pay for it and they give us whatever they want to give us. It's state-sponsored TV. I mean, if we actually use the words that we should use to describe the services that we're given, you know, we call it the Ministry of Defence, but it should be called the Ministry of Attack. I mean, it does nothing but go around the world in America's shadow, attacking those that we deem to be living inappropriately, and they don't have the correct banking system. What they need is the correct banking system and democracy, which is just basically thieve all your resources, install a debt-based money system, and indoctrinate the children. That's democracy. It's mob rule. It's a mafia system of control. We've been living in it for a long time. We can blame ourselves to some part, and we can blame those above us because they haven't been paying attention either.
The systems that you talk about now, you could look at the mafia, etc. You know, you think about 1950s, etc. But when I've looked into that, it is an interest. 5,000 years back, that the organisers, you know, and they've always been. I'm like,
it's never changed.
I'm like, sorry,
it's never changed.
You know, and just on that, and sorry, well, listen, hello to Alan as well at We Are Change. I am, mate. I'm sorry, I meant to mention before. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for all your help you give me this week. I'm sorry, going back. Yeah, and these organisations now, some archaeologists have found these wooden cards that have sort of writings on it like we would have paper, and they deciphered the language of the time, and it was basically this woman was talking about how her husband's been cheating on her, and she's got no money, and he's supposed to be out working, and these sort of wooden scripts are like 3,000 odd years old, and I thought, like you said, we're still in the same bloody mess. Again, it's people talking the same things, you know. I was telling you about my phone bill before. I can't believe what's happened there. And I was going out today shopping, and I had a woman on the phone going, I don't know if she was on the phone. I've never got over. I don't know where you got this bill from. And I thought, they've got us. I'm looking at this little shopping centre here with people having the same conversations, going to the family who are having the same conversations. And with you talking about these words that we've been using from day one, they've had us all. They must be sitting there laughing. I'm not going to swear.
I think they are. Yeah, I think yeah. They make themselves look really smart because they've spent a long time making us look the very opposite. They decide what words we use and what they mean. It doesn't matter It doesn't matter. I mean, the truth is, the truth can't be as we can find it online, because the truth isn't the truth. It's not possible. In a system of lies, there is no part that can be true, because it would bring the whole card school down. The whole pack would fall. We must be living in a historical lie. It must be that, because nothing else makes sense. I mean, the victors write the history. They write his story. It's not a mystery, but it is to us. I mean, anybody who reads a 9/11 report, I mean, it doesn't represent what happened on the day. But that's what's been taught in school, and that's what history's going to show. It doesn't matter what reality is. Reality is what they say it is. They tell us what reality is, and then we eventually make it for them. It's not written in the stars. It's because they decide what the stars mean in advance and tell us what they want. And they steer us through steering committees and think tanks. They steer us where they want us. We create the reality that they decide they want. The future is written in the stars, but they decide what the future is.
So I was talking about self-help books before, and I was suggesting. I mean, they always come at an angle, and it's something that I could do a book myself on this now, because they come at the angle is, listen, it's where you are. You're saying about looking in the mirror and changing. Now, my problem with that is not problem, but my issue with that is, you can do all the self-searching and go through your life and all the things that have gone wrong and right, and pick up and work on it and change the way you want to be. But the next day, you're up and you are confined. You can't escape the system, because as soon as you step out the door, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but you are spending money, right? You cannot. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I mean, you said about you can't. So you back it, so you can come home at the end of the day after only soul searching and changing your mindset, which changes your chemical reaction in your body. So you will send out positive energy, and everything around you will change. But my issue with that is, nothing will change until the system's gone and until the people at the top are running the system. Am I going around in circles, or am I going?
No. I'm not going to disagree with you, because I can't disagree with you. That may be true. You could be right. For my part, I perhaps sit at the other end of that line. Maybe I'm on the other end of that line, and that is it. The 3 or 4 things that I mentioned, which was if you're still drinking the tap water, if you're still using fluoride toothpaste, if you're still leaving your money in the bank and using the cards for convenience. Those 3 things I think that I mentioned, I mean, how hard could that be to change? I mean, that's a simple change that doesn't change anything except you. Those 3 things could be done by everybody if they wanted to. I mean, if we wanted to stop drinking Coca-Cola, just stop drinking Coca-Cola. If enough people say, why are you not drinking Coca-Cola? You just say, because I don't like it, it's bad for you. If people are still going to McDonald's, then okay, they can go to McDonald's. But if you know what the food is that McDonald's serve and still go, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm just going to ask you, why would you do that? Why would you go there? If you're still going to the big 4 supermarkets, but you're moaning about the big 4 supermarkets shutting all your little shops, why would you do that?
See, right, okay, why would I do that? The little town that I live...
I know, financial.
No, but the little town I live in now, there is... I mean, I've done a little video, it's on basically all over the internet about a new Tesco's that's opening up. But it's not... It's a super duper one. It's one of these, that's going to take up half of... It's right next to Old Trafford. It's going to be huge. And I talk about community spirit being broken down. But the thing is, it's going to be half the price of everywhere else. It's going to create jobs. They're giving 21 million to the Lancashire Cricket Club for the ground. So the councils are, getting a nice backhand. There's a sweetener there. The councils are laughing. You see what I mean? So, every little helps, as they say, and... It's just going to get passed through, and then you're stuck, aren't you?
Yeah,
and this is what I'm saying again, because while the people at the top, the councillors, are going, instead of having that as Greenland, which is next to a sports centre, by the way, where everybody could be doing with that, they're going to turn it into, and not a mile down the road, in the shopping centre where I was today, is already a Tesco that's been there for 30 years.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, I'm not saying go to your little corner shop and pay 3 times as much. I mean, for me, there's Aldi, there's Netto, there's Lidl's. Yeah, I mean, those places have been belittled, but the food they sell is the same price as the big supermarkets. I mean, you can do whatever you want to buck the system, but do something. Do something. Don't, when I meet people, I say, what is it you're doing, though? What are you doing? What are you doing?
grow some grub in your garden. We did it last year, and now we're taking it and next scale up. We've opened a little community garden, haven't we?
Yeah, we're having a go, yeah.
Grub, and we're going to give it away.
Right. Well, that's it.
That come and help grow it.
Right. I want to come back. Okay, you are listening to the Critical Mass Show on Manchester Radio Online. Guys, I hope you are all well and you've enjoyed everything that you've heard so far. I'm going to bring in Andy, who's been sat in the background, though he's not in the background, and Paul's still with us, of course. Just whilst we're off air, we're talking about the demise of certain countries, well, all countries at the moment, and being self-sufficient. So, basically, I suggest that, sort of saying, Andy, there, that if we... When you were saying there, Paul was saying, well, it's the little changes that you make, don't drink this, don't have that bad thing, which is right, and I know, and to a point, I do that. I mean, it's like a treat now, like fish and chips was a treat when I was a kid. Yay, we're back on the fish and chip. So it was...
It's good for you.
It's good for you. That's too good for you, fantastic.
The perfect balance of fat, carbohydrate, and what's the other one? Protein. Fish and chips are a perfect balance.
Don't forget peas.
And there's your three: the Son, the Father, and the Holy Ghost. Anyway,
right, hang on a minute. See, that's just still meat. Fish and chips is just taking on a whole new meaning. So this is the last part where this is just all mates together now. Fantastic. So, right, I subscribe to the thought that if you've got land, you can be self-sufficient, right? The Queen, the royal family, you mentioned the percentage before. I sort of realise it to be basically 3/4 of the planet that family are sort of connected to. The research I've got, as in the royal family, and before, as in we're going back ancestrally. You said you started up. So just tell me a bit about that community, what you've done there. You're saying?
Well, it just started last year. We're sick of giving. We were just saying, what can we do to try and escape the system? And stop giving them your money. Stop giving the supermarkets your money. Just if you've got a little bit of garden, go out there, grow some food, shove some tatties in or something. Just so that you don't have to go spend that money at the supermarket. There's all these little bits and things we do. So what we decided when we were doing that out in the front garden, and it's only a small area, it was amazing to me how much a little small area of garden how much stuff you can actually grow in it. And then with talking to Paul and chattering like we do about things that we talk about, Paul's got some land, and so we put it to good use, and we're turning it into a community garden. We've put 6 fruit trees in last week, and then we're getting all the beds put in. There's seedlings in the conservatory at the moment, all sorts of cabbages, Brussels sprouts, leeks. She's got tomatoes growing, peppers. She grew the peppers from her own seeds. She just took the seeds out of the peppers, put them onto a saucer, left them in the window to dry out, and then this year she's planting them, and they're sprouting already. And that's free food. This year is free food. And all we've got to do is tend the garden and water it and go do a bit of work. But you've got to put... It's like anything else. You've got to put the work in, and I think that's what we've lost. Everything's come too easy to us, and these big corporations know that we're lazy, and I'm guilty of being lazy. And we've no time. Your time's taken up. We've just travelled from over the Pennines. We've travelled over the M62 tonight, and they'd slowed the traffic down to 50 mile an hour for no obvious... The road was... There were no road works on it. All they'd done is stick some cones at the side. And there were 3 lanes of traffic going nowhere, and there's people there travelling home from work. And they're trying to get home from work, and then they'll be late home for the tea. So instead of cooking the tea, what will they do? They'll nip out and go and get a McDonald's or something on the way home. And then you'll go home and sit and stick Coronation Street on the TV and all that kind of thing.
It's game over then, isn't it? That's it.
They've got us in this mindset of we've done our day's work, we can't be bothered, why should we do it? And you have to, as Paul says, look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, how can I... We can't change everybody, but you can change yourself. And that's what I've done. I've changed how I think. I've changed... instead of sitting on my backside watching Coronation Street and all those things that you used to do, we started to grow some food. And that'll be less money for Tesco's.
I think if everybody had the choice out there to wake up in the morning to go to a job they don't want to do or to tend the land and watch the fruits of their labour, I know which one I go for. And I'm not just saying that because, I mean, there are people out there who love the adrenaline of being in a sales job or in working in the city. They love it. It is something. But, you know, that I think that's a young person's energy that when you get to your 30s, you start thinking, hang on a minute, what's the crack here, don't you? And you do start coming around. But now, for myself, and we're saying about different, you know, countries, you're saying about Greece there because, you know, that the properties are dropping, but you said they've got, like, they're enforcing a tax.
They are. A guy that I've done some work for, he had a holiday home in Cyprus.
Right, okay.
On the Greek side of Cyprus, because it's split down the middle between the Turks and the Greeks, isn't it?
Sure, yeah.
And because he'd heard that the Greek economy were crashing, because of people that he's involved with in his day-to-day business, he's into properties and all that kind of thing. He found out that the actual Greek government are going to actually put a tax on people that have properties that they're not actually Greek people that live there. So all the holiday homes, people that have holiday homes, they're going to slap a tax on that to get some money back.
That is just...
And if Greece are doing it, then Italy will do it, Spain will do it, Portugal will do it, won't they? It'll have a knock-on effect. Leads us on to the word tax. A tax. We say, but that's got a tax on it.
To attack.
And it's
to attack. That's what a tax is, to attack. They cost us. They steal it off us. All taxes are theft. All taxes are just theft. Paying interest on imaginary currency made up from nothing to enslave us. It's an attack. A tax. They tax us.
See, I get worked up when I know what it is, and I know what's going on, but it winds me up. It really does wind me, and it comes across in the playground laughing in the corner, whispering to each other while they know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? And it's just absolute. And you know, we see people every day in such a state, and I'm watching people in my local area, and I'm watching them with the clothes that they're wearing. They're looking like they've been sleeping on the street all night because they're absolutely skint. Like I said, they are, you know, living off
free food tickets.
Yeah, and then the stuff that they're eating is just and this is where I say, and this whole owning land thing has to happen, and that's to me is where. What you're doing there on a big scale needs to happen, guys. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we've got the Yorkshire, Lancashire divide's been it's gone tonight, and we're all in it together. And that's how
it was never there in the first place. You know, it's just an illusion.
Thank you.
It's just an illusion.
It is.
I don't like steamed pies though.
You don't fish and chips all the way. And especially now after what you told me, I just want to work where the pickled leg comes into all like that sort of thing. But no, I mean, going forward now, I mean, we mentioned the Olympics, we mentioned 2012, which I put to all my guests. The Olympics, to me, is a ceremony for the people in the know. I don't think there's going to be mass killings, because, like the Truth Hunters pointed out, there's too many rich people. It's only the rich who can afford to be there, to be honest. So I can't see the wealth being killed off.
But look at what they're doing. I mean, we've got a military build-up. We've got warships in the Thames.
Yeah.
We've got snipers on rooftops. I mean, where's the threat? What threat is it? What are they doing to us? This is slave trading. This is locking down London. This is just an exercise in martial law. This is teaching people a new reality, that snipers and soldiers and warships and terror alerts are just normal now. Get used to it. This is a new normal. We will frisk you, we will search you, we will stop you. And as long as we look official, you'll do as you're told. It's just slave training.
Right, but I mean, what I've seen from that, and what I'm picking up, and people, you know, you probably see yourself the same. There are reports now that because of the Olympics, there are laws that have been passed unbeknownst to ourselves that are saying you can't come into this area for a 60-mile radius. You can't say graffiti can't be done. Any demonstrations in that area can't be done. You see, and those laws, as you said, I didn't know that about the 9 sort of areas that you know. So then they'll say next year they'll go, we've actually extended that border over to, you know, and that's what that law was brought in the Olympics. That's what it's there for. all, you know.
It's just consolidating power. That's all they do, is they just keep power grabbing. It's just power grabbing. So our actual ability to reach out to the very power structures that control our lives, our ability to connect, to communicate, to speak to them directly, is so much further away. You can't get to the power because there's too much bureaucracy in the middle. And the bureaucracy, they don't know what the other half's doing. I mean, this is part of the order out of chaos reality that's been built throughout our lives, throughout history. As long as we've no idea what's really going on, they're going to be able to carry on regardless. I mean, that is the order out of chaos theory. It's not new. It's only new to us. We're learning this. We think this is something new, something we should fight back against, something that we should react to, and it is. But it's not new. It's been going on for thousands of years. It's not new at all. And as for the mafia control, I think, was it the Romans or was it Caesar who instigated a fire service, and you had to pay taxes to the fire service, and if you didn't pay taxes, they came and burnt your house down? There's nothing new under the sun. Only the people who learn it are new.
Got an email from Simon who says the only thing that he worries regarding growing food outside is the fallout from the chemtrails raining on the growing produce. He said he's watched basically these trails for years and has observed how trails dissipate to cover the sky with a blanket of grey. Then you're guaranteed the rain will fall from these so-called clouds. And some people are saying these so-called clouds. I may be wrong, but observed this process for years. So even if we do...
I see his concerns. They're attacking us from all angles.
You wouldn't walk on the street if you thought you were going to get run over. You've just got to go. You just got to get out there and do it. You just got the danger is the danger is.
The Agenda 21's going on. We all know that.
All you can do is grow your own food and keep it clean. And that's all you can do.
You can only try your best. We're up against some highly paid psychopaths
that's who run the planet, yeah.
That come up with ways to kill us all slowly, and just try be around a bit longer to pay them all off. That's my plan, anyway.
So as I mentioned before,
it's a good plan. It's a good plan.
I'm sticking with that plan.
Been around a bit longer is okay with me.
I'm sticking with that plan for the time being.
It's a very, very cunning plan, I must say.
It's a bit of bulging there. If this to sort of end, basically, guys, we've got an awakening, mass awakening, worldwide awakening. Yeah.
The word awake.
Cool.
How come we can always only go to awake when someone's died? What's that all about? When someone's died, the service is called awake, isn't it? The reception's called awake. What's that all about? It's nuts, isn't it? It's nuts.
So what? I mean, right? You do this to me now when I've got 10 minutes to go. There, you just throw up a subject that I could. Right, okay. Right, no, Paul. Right.
You're right. There is a global awakening. I wish it were faster. I wish we could speed it up. I wish we could tell people what they need to know to see what we can see. But it takes a long time. It does. It takes a long time. You can't do it in a week, a month, or a year. I think really being awake takes longer than a year.
It took me 40 odd years.
Right. Okay. So would you say then that
point taken? Yeah, point taken.
Awakening is something that you are, like I said to you before, and I've said to many, and I know many listeners are the same, they just always knew something was odd.
I think you can't wake the dead, but you can wake the sleeping. I think we'll just try and find the ones that are happy to listen, and if they're not happy to listen, you're wasting your time. If they put their hand up and say no, you just walk away, just leave it. Leave it.
Ben from Hapanmo TV, and I use this every week because I like it, says we are neck and neck towards the finish line with the powers that be, so called. And he feels we've got basically to get our noses in front. He feels that that's happening. Would you go with that, or would you go with that their noses are in front?
The race is the race. The race is the race.
It's a human race.
It's the race. The last furlong is what matters, and the last furlong is your life. It's the 72 summers you've got. This is your last furlong. For the men that still exist, that the instinct is that they're under attack. If you feel that, then you still have what it is to recognise your role as a man. This is your challenge. This is what you've been waiting for all your life. Look in the mirror. That's who you're waiting for. You want to be something. You want to be proud of your time here. Then get on with it.
If it feels right, do it.
No one's going to remember what you had. They're going to remember what you were. Be proud of yourself.
I put this question to a friend who didn't actually give me a straight answer, and I put this question to other people who go, I've got the answer, but I'm not going to tell you. And you just sort of touched on it, and that was basically when you do pass on, or when you do become awake, as you just sort of touched on there, it's just blown me away there. What do you want written on your gravestone? How do you want to be remembered? And that's the thing that stays. You saying yourself that you did cause a few of the right ways, if you like, waves going back to the sea.
If you want to live forever, be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Homer? Was it Homer who said that? I
don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
George Bush said it. I know that.
Yeah, he's going to be remembered.
We could
for
go
all
with
the right reasons.
We could go with a Spike Milligan.
Go on.
Told you I was ill.
Right. So, okay. So we've mentioned the Olympics. 2012. Is this just a load of? Because I think it's 2013 where there'll be some kind of shift, as in with the sun, etc. That's going to affect us. I think 2012. It is just.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, how can I argue with whether you're right or wrong? Because we don't know till we get there. This is the journey, you know. We don't know till we get there. I mean, for me, I think we're going to be... well, I think it's more of the same. I think more of the same. I mean, the government's control methods, according to Bernays, is control through chaos. I mean, make it appear like the world's going to end the week after yesterday. You know, make it appear that this is your last chance. This could all be taken away from you. Get them living on the edge. Control by fear. You know, it's pretty much like the closing down sale that our local furniture shops have every month. They never close down. It never stops. I mean, people say the monetary system's going to stop. Well, it will stop when they stop it. They can print it out of fresh air. It's not just going to come to an end. We're going to be gently. This is the slowest descent ever. We're going down. We're going down. It's a bumpy road with a few potholes in it, but we're going down nevertheless.
And just prepare.
And while we keep preparing for a big event, they're quite happily just trotting down the road, making things a little worse. This is your new normal. No, this is your new normal. No, hang on a minute. This is now your new normal. They're dimming our lights. They're turning us off. Literally with the light bulbs. I mean, we talked about the sun in Aries and how strong it was going to be, but we moved backwards through the calendar and we end up in Pisces. Is the sun brighter or dim in March? They're dimming our lights. They're taking our power away on every level you want to look. If you want to see synchronicity, look and look and look again. On every level, they're dimming us. They're turning our power off.
But they're turning the power off, which I agree with. At the same time, people are... I'm not going to use awake. I'm going to have to change the name of my website now, Awaken People. But at the same time, whilst they are turning the lights off, is it not... I mean, some people actually think this is being done on purpose, where we've been put in this situation in order for us to be made so we do become aware of what's happening.
I hope so.
They're doing, it's not out of the kindness of their own heart, but, you know, I mean...
But there's always good and bad. For evil, we all know the saying, for evil to win, we just got to sit back and do nothing.
Yeah.
Let's hope it is a trial. Let's hope this is the trial. Let's hope this is your test. This is your challenge. You know, take the challenge. Pick up the gauntlet and say, you know, I am going to try and make a difference. And don't get upset that it's not a big difference, because the only difference you have to make is you. There's nothing else. Make yourself attractive by being different. But don't be offensive. Don't be rude. And you can't learn anything while you're talking. When people start talking to you, even if you think they're wrong, even if you think you've got nothing in common, learn to listen. There'll be something. We all want to search for happiness. We all want to sleep well at night. We all want to find a mate, settle down, and live comfortably. We've all got that in common. Just remember, that's the start. If you just turn people away and dismiss them without even hearing what they've got to say, what on earth gives you the right to expect that service from others? Mm-hmm. You don't have it. This is a banking world we live in, so start banking. Mm-hmm. Start banking some credits with people.
Banking on your friends.
Start banking on your friends, start helping your friends, start listening to your friends.
Help out.
Start working out what it is that you need to be so they can get it. Because if you ain't getting the message across, it's because you're not transmitting it properly. There's nothing wrong with the message. It's just the communication skills. Learn to cast.
I tell you what I did that changed me a little bit was I did things for nothing. Only little things. Washing somebody's tap, sticking a slate on a roof.
Banking on people.
And when they turned around to me and said, "Do you want anything? How much do I owe?" Nothing. Just remember I did it. And there may be a time when you might be able to repay the compliment. Try it sometime. The little things make all the difference.
That's called banking on people. You put yourself in credit with people. So now you do have people you've banked on. So if you need them, you're in credit with them. What you're going to get back, well, the best bit is that you don't need anything right now. So it's there in credit. Bank on people. We're told that's taking things away from people. No. Banking on people is sharing with them. It's sharing. Show you care. Share. Show how you care by sharing. That's the word. That's what banking is. We just got it backwards. Like everything else.
Right, guys. That was a beautiful way to end the show, I think. Thank you very, very much to yourself, Paul and Andy. I've really enjoyed it's been I'm watching everything I say here.
No, it's fun. It was just fun. It was just all it was a bit of fun. Are these words really meaning these things? Well, maybe they are. Maybe it's just fun, but it's been fun.
Thank you very, very much, both of you, and a safe journey over back to, and I'm sure we'll come to the chippy and get some fruit from your place as well.
You're always welcome.
It's been a pleasure, my friend.
It has been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Excellent. Right, guys, I'll just say thank you very much for all your support with the Critical Mass show. I'm going to play out with the theme for Awakened, as I believe, because this is going to be our anthem, and I'm going to keep pushing it until it is. Take care. Speak to you all soon.